This story starts in Sydney, Australia. It's where I've been settled for 15 years. A couple of years back, when my second child was born, I started to think a lot about my own childhood and my family life back in Ireland. I'm from a big family, and having two of my own made me appreciate what my own parents had gone through in bringing up so many children. Raising my own kids half a world away in Sydney, I missed my mum's steady hand and her sound advice. So I moved back to Drogheda with my Australian wife Monique and my two girls, Molly and Bridgie. My mum was about to celebrate her 90th birthday, and I wanted to get some tips from her on the secrets to success in raising a family. We were never very touchy-feely in my family when I was growing up, but my mum was always a great woman for baking cakes. She'd been baking for her family since her wedding day in 1945. And as the family grew, the number of cakes had grown. Birthday cakes and buttered tea cakes, brown bread, Halloween bracts and fruit flans, and Christmas cakes and puddings. Loads of cakes and puddings to give as presents to her family and friends. By the time the family reached 14 children, the Christmas cake production had reached gargantuan proportions. A virtual production line of cake making that started in October and ended in Christmas week. I'd never baked a cake in my life. I decided to ask my mum for her special Christmas recipe and also get some answers for some questions that were bugging me. What was it that connected me to the place I'd left behind 22 years before? What was it that made me Irish, even though I'd spent most of my life in other places? What parts of my Irishness would my children in Australia inherit? What parts would they want? Could I find a secret family recipe for the cake my mum had baked for all these years? And so we sat down in her kitchen in Drogheda and set about making a Christmas pudding using her special recipe. And where does the tradition from making a pudding come from? Have you been making one for a while?
Oh, for all my life. And my mother and grandmother. It's just lost in history. 8 ounces white breadcrumbs, 12 ounces of dark brown sugar.
I asked my siblings about their memories of Mammy's cake making. I find interviewing my brothers and sisters difficult. My family are not natural performers. When we were small, we were taught to be seen but not heard.
I remember she was always baking. Just bake brown bread most days of the week and make rock cakes sometimes during the week, or rhubarb cakes or apple cakes on a Sunday, and Christmas pudding, Christmas cakes at Christmas. And then at Easter she used to make an Easter cake with a little nest with little eggs in it.
Yes, Christmas was very busy and very hectic, and Mammy was always stuck in the kitchen, and she had a list of people she had to do cakes for and puddings for, and it was like a business, like a conveyor belt of cakes, and it used to start somewhere around mid-October, I think, and she'd be doing maybe one a week or two a week.
What's in here? Cherries.
Oh, you only need
Glacé fruit.
Mm.
So was this stuff all very expensive long time ago?
Yes, still expensive.
What about the time? Do you remember the time during the war?
Was on, yeah.
What happened?
We just didn't have them.
And what about, you said that you had an incident with Canis.
Oh yeah, I managed to get some somewhere. I don't know where I got them, and I made the pudding, and I went downstairs. And when I came back, he had emptied the bowl onto the floor, everything out.
What age was he then?
I was about 2, I suppose.
And what did you do then?
I scraped it up off the floor and put it back in.
Did they taste the difference?
No. Best pudding they ever tasted.
Certainly the early 50s to the mid 50s in Ireland were fairly lean. And I can remember often my mother sort of saying, well, that will have to do you until your father gets paid on Friday. I think we spent most of the time in a permanent state of hunger.
Did you ever drink when you were young?
Not at all.
Huh?
Everybody took their confirmation pledge.
Yeah, but not
So
everybody
did you,
kept it.
I think.
I did indeed. You've never taken a drink then?
No,
Never ever in your life?
never.
Did you? But you've had a Guinness in the pudding.
That's it.
How much Guinness goes in?
I think the whole bottle.
I know.
Well, you see, you don't know how much is in the bottle. 330 milligrams.
It only says a little bit here. I think this is, you've been tippling. No, I'm just joking. Rum or whiskey?
Yeah, well, we poured that over it the day we set it on fire on Christmas Day.
My mum loved telling stories of the olden days. She had a great memory and a huge knowledge of local history. So what year did your dad come to Drogheda?
1917. He came to open the cinema in the Wishworth Hall.
And you were the eldest.
Yeah,
So you were born in 1918.
yeah.
What's your date of birth?
6th of the 5th, 1918.
And were you born in the house in Shop Street?
No, I was born in Dundalk.
Oh.
In my grandmother's house, we had no hospitals in those days. Usually the mother went home to her mother for the first baby because she didn't know an awful lot about it.
My mum's earliest memories were of the Irish War of Independence and an attack on the town by the drunken rump of the British Army known as the Black and Tans in 1922. The Black and Tans were infamous for terrorising the local populations.
That was the time the Black and Tans came up, 1922.
Yeah, and do you remember the Black and Tans?
I do remember them coming up and shooting through the bedroom window.
And where were you?
In bed. I was out of the bed at this time and into a back bedroom. We had to get up and run.
We visited my mum's old house at number 2 Shop Street in the centre of town. It's now been converted into flats.
No, we ran. I was only 3. My father grabbed me and ran into a back bedroom. And we heard the noise and the shooting. And when it had quietened down then, we went back into the front bedroom and there was a bullet hole through the window and the bullet buried itself in the ceiling just over where we had been sleeping. So that's how I remember the Black and Tans.
And who were they shooting at? Did they
I shot anybody at random. They went up to where Singer's machine shop used to be and they set it on fire. And I remember going up and sticking my head out of the window and watching the fire, and someone came in and pulled me out.
This story always had a big impact on me. It tied my mum to one of the major events in Irish history. It wasn't until later in life that I realised that she couldn't have been more than 3 years old when this event happened. I suppose when you're under the bed, saying the rosary with your family in fear of your mortal life, you remember these things. And you have to leave it overnight, is that?
Oh yes, because it soaks. You see, all that liquid soaks up into the breadcrumbs. And when you stir that tomorrow now, it's not sloppy like that. It's quite...
So we have to come back
it's a
again
bit drier.
tomorrow.
Oh yes, you
For
have
more
to finish it tomorrow then. Put it into the bowl.
And how long does it, will you cook it for?
8 hours.
And you'll have to watch it doesn't boil
Yeah.
away.
Oh, you do.
So it has to be
yes.
watched the whole day.
It has to be watched. Somebody has to stay here and watch it all day.
Gee, that's a lot of work. Grand.
Well, you need a lot of patience. So now, that's it so far. How does it taste?
Very nice. Lovely. A cup of tea, I think we need after all of
Yeah.
that work. Grand. I first interviewed my mum and dad back in 1995. I asked my mum where she first met my dad.
At a Cayley. I didn't see him again for a few months until there was another Cayley. So he called down. We agreed to go out and we went on a long walk and it began to snow. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, when did I first meet Mammy? I have an awful feeling it was November 1940. It was at Cayley in the Furworth Hall, anyway. It was probably like some enchanted evening. You may see a stranger across a crowded room.
Do you remember the day you proposed?
I can't say that I can pinpoint it exactly. It was nearly an agreed version.
What does that mean?
Well, we both felt that's what we should be doing anyway, is getting married.
So when did he propose to you?
I don't think he ever did. No,
Fine,
there
so
was no
that's fine.
particular time. It just kind of evolved. Yeah.
So my dad never asked my ma to marry him. No romantic proposal on bended knee. No romance at all. Their experiences were so different to mine. Their expectations were so different to mine. So I'll get the girls to come up tomorrow and stir it.
A store, oh, everyone has to have a store, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas puddings was always a bit of a ritual at home. When the cake was being mixed, everybody had to join in. And everybody had to do a stir. And the most important stir of all was from Malachy, because he was the youngest.
You better, how does it go? You better not.
Daddy, but that's the move.
All right. So I brought the girls up to Granny's house the next day so that they could take part in the stirring ritual and make a wish. Twice. You've got to know who's...
No, he's gonna find out.
And this was where the three generations came together, and my girls became a part of the magic of the Christmas pudding. What are we doing now? We've got to...
We have to stir the pudding, I think that's really all.
And what's the idea
they
behind
have to
stirring the
do.
pudding? You make...
Oh, you stir the pudding and you make a wish.
Oh, yeah?
Yep,
And everybody in the house has to stir the pudding.
yep.
Well, who are Bridget? You have a little spoon.
A little spoon and
No, you want the big spoon. Oh, yummy pudding!
did you make your wish?
Did you make a wish, Molly?
But you don't tell anybody what your wish is.
Why?
Oh, that would spoil it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't come true at all then. That's it. Great have a big long tongue.
Sliding, sliding and slippery. Dad! No, my son! Slippery. My son!
How did you manage 14, Mummy?
Sliding on
Oh, well, I didn't. They managed each other. You just turn them out. Turn them out the front door and the back door.
I can't manage to.
Yeah.
Yeah, now will you say bye-bye to Granny?
Bye-bye.
We give Granny a big cuddle? Come on, we gotta go. Later, we spooned the pudding mix into the bowl, but not without a few problems. My mum was tiring of the filming and just wanted to get on with the job at hand. I asked my mum to repeat some tasks for the camera, but her patience with her tiresome, interfering son was running out.
Oh, and if you knew how long it took me to fit that in there.
Yes, but we have to cheat a little bit. Here, if you want to pretend that you're getting the tin foil out.
No, the tin foil has to go in, and the pudding has to go in. It has to be lined with tin foil.
Yeah,
when you
we're
put
trying
the
to
pudding
get
in.
it for the documentary, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right, no cheating. This is bona fide, this is the truth. Never mind objective or subjective. How long did it take you to do this?
A long time, because
Right, so which goes in first? That.
that goes in there.
And then it goes round the kind
And
of lip.
that goes in. Oh, it doesn't matter about the top now, to the bottom.
You cut that out yourself.
Yeah.
Good woman.
Spent the last hour doing this.
I know,
and you
but we should
just
have been
pull it
filming
out,
it.
then throw it away.
That's the whole idea. We film you doing it. Don't do anything until we're here. But this
Yeah, well,
is the
you
story
see,
of your life.
I'm supposed to have a proper thing to put the pudding in, not an old tin can.
We do it how we do it.
Have to-
Right. So now we're ready to rock and roll, are we? You say that's okay like that?
Oh, don't touch it again.
Right.
You can put it in because it will go off the pile now when
Right.
it goes in. So.
Ta-da!
Let him pile away.
Hooray!
Thanks be to God, that's done.
That was it.
Marathon, it always is.
Right. I think we need a cup of tea. I once asked my mum what it was like to have 14 babies. She laughed and said after the first 5 or 6, they just pop out. I asked her if she could remember when her first baby was born.
I do. I was in the kitchen one day and my mother had asked this engineer she knew to come in and have a look at the house. And I was standing there and I didn't know what had happened. Water was pouring down my legs. I thought I'd never see the end of this man. So my mother must have realised there was something wrong and she got rid of him. And then I rushed up to the hospital.
So your waters were breaking, but you
I didn't know what was happening.
and the guy was still yapping away to your mum.
He was, and she got rid of him as quick as she could.
But you didn't say, hey, stop, hang on a minute.
Oh, no, I said nothing. I kept quiet.
Later, I asked my mum where she got her sex education when she was young.
You picked it up here and there, as did everybody in those days.
And would your mum not have talked to you about
Oh, no. Was never mentioned.
But how are you supposed to know then?
Oh, well, everybody knew that you picked it up. You heard all about it from your friends and your pals.
So where did I get my sex education? I was good at drawing at school, and I used to draw horses for the boys in my class. When I was 6 or 7, the boys asked me to draw a dirty picture. I obliged and was busy drawing a naked woman when Martin Carr pointed to the crotch area and said, "Girls don't have one of them." I looked at him in puzzlement and then back down to my picture of a naked lady complete with large penis. "I'm sure of it," said Martin Carr. "I have baths with my sister." Damn. I've made sure that my girls know all about the facts of life.
You can have all your Chinese and Indian dishes.
The pudding is finally on the boil. It needs to be watched for 8 hours.
Stir-fried in a wok. Oh, nothing compares to a crispy boiled duck. They say the boiled salmon are simply delicious. They say the boiled mullet is a bit suspicious. Oh, plunk it and chuck it right into a pot. Oh, nothing compares to a crispy boiled duck. Come all you in Drogheda who are politically correct, if you ever catch a boiled duck in your net, oh, love him and cherish him, fatten him up, 'cause nothing compares to a crispy boiled duck. Come all you vegetarians and the fishmongers, what's left up to you, will I die of the hunger? Stamp your complaining, would you ever give up, 'cause nothing compares to a crispy boiled duck.
My mum had some more stories about childbirth that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. She described the birth of my brother Brendan in 1952, when they had moved to the countryside.
When I got up in the middle of the night, the place was white with frost, and we had an old car that only started when it was pushed very hard first. There was a little hill in the road outside the house, and he pushed the car to the top of the hill, and then he jumped in, put his foot down, and let the car run down the hill and hoped it would start, and it never did. And he'd have to push it back up the hill again. And I was sitting in the ditch, and I was wondering, should I get up and help him to push it or stay where I was? So eventually it started. And we got in just in time.
Can you remember when I was born?
No, I don't.
There was no outstanding
The
characteristics.
band wasn't out, no.
Did my mum and dad ever have a discussion about how many children they would have?
Not at all. Things just happened in those days.
I asked the same question of my dad. Why did you have such a big family?
We wouldn't be taking anything like that into consideration, that we should be limiting numbers and things like that, you know. It's newfangled ideas, I suppose, in the society of today. So what one of them would be without, I wonder?
Which one of us would we be without? That's a tough question for me. Newgrange in the Boyne Valley is a place of pilgrimage for me. It's a megalithic tomb built in 3000 BC, before the pyramids. It has an alignment with the rising sun on the morning of the winter solstice on the 21st of December. Myself and a bunch of mates have been going out there every winter solstice since 1982. We salute the rising sun and feel at one with our ancestors who have watched the same scene for generations. In 1994, while I was home from England for Christmas, my dad drove me out to Newgrange for the solstice. We passed the site of the Battle of the Boyne along the way. was beautiful and the colours they were fine. It was one at the Rio, the crimson skin and the wine. My father wore it as a in bygone days of yore, and it's on the 12th of February where the sash my father. My mum said my dad didn't have a note in his head, God bless him. She wasn't wrong. As time went by, I grew to understand me dad. Too little, too late. He had a limited vocabulary when it came to my sort of plain talking. He put the bread on the table. That was what men of his generation were taught to do. My dad was a hard man to love. I last saw my dad when he was in hospital in January of 1996. Just before I emigrated to Australia. He rambled slightly, but I put my arms around him and hugged him and told him I loved him. It was the first time and the last time that I ever hugged him. When he died, I came home from Australia and went to see him laid out in the church in Drogheda. As I kissed his forehead, I could hear my 2-year-old niece gurgling away happily outside the mortuary chapel. I felt my dad's cold brow and listened to my niece's happy chatter echoing around us and realised what he had left behind. The Celts believed that the rising sun would enter the womb of the earth along the passageway at Newgrange on the solstice morning and fertilise the seed of the new year. When our eldest daughter was born, we brought her to Newgrange. We called her Bowen, after the Boyne River goddess. She may have got her birth cert in Sydney, but we named her at Newgrange on a solstice morning with a rainbow over the tomb and tears of joy from me and Monique mixing with the rain to wet her head and give her a place in the world. So my children's story connects with my dad's story at this place by the river, which is full of history and magic. I've got it. I'm just going to put it there.
Yeah, that's right.
Hooray!
Now, hip, hip, hooray.
Hip hip hooray!
That's it. Now turn off the camera. It's all right. And
there's loads of water on the top. Look, see, it'll scald you.
water wouldn't scald me.
Of course.
Fire wouldn't burn me.
Oh my God.
Not at all.
You're gonna know someday. Whoa! Look in there.
Look.
What is it?
You know what you do now? You smell, you sniff. Has it a nice smell? But you can't eat it now until Christmas Day.
That's a Christmas Day.
No, I think you better take that in and put it up there and we put the lid on it. Now, nobody will get into it.
No mice will eat that pudding.
Happy birthday, dear Mammy.
We celebrated my mum's 90th birthday with a big family party. I think she enjoyed being surrounded by her extended family. In Sydney, when we got back, I put my ma's baking lessons into practice and set out to make a Christmas cake with my girls. Okay, are we ready to go? We're ready to go.
Yes, we're ready to go.
In a bowl, cream the butter with the sugar until light and fluffy. Okay. Okay, now we're going to put in an egg.
It's my part. I want to do it.
This big. Okay, what's next?
Looky.
Ah, don't do that. It's spilling all over the place. Come on, mix it all up. Okay, the next bit we have to do a lot of weighing. No. No fighting, and that'll be the end.
No, I won.
No, Bridget, back on your chair. Can't do this. 525. Bridget.
It's another video. Now it's my turn.
318. Bit too much. No, don't. Bridget, that's ridiculous. Show me a map. Oh. What are the things that make childhood special? What stories from childhood do my own siblings remember?
You know, I can remember when I was in the Brothers Novitiate, which was the first year I wasn't let home at Christmas, and for the 3 years after that, she sent me a cake every Christmas, and that was really the highlight of my Christmas, because for most things in the Christian Brothers, any stuff I got from home was always the cheapest and the least expensive that could be managed, because there was no money. But when it came to Christmas cakes, I was in the Premier League, and I could be between 40 and 70 people in a refectory, and you sat at tables, and every day you moved on one place, and the person opposite you moved one place the other way, and you took your goodies with you. And so my Christmas cake came with me all through the Christmas holidays, and I decided who got bits of it. I decided what thickness of slice they got, and I also decided what thickness of slice I got. And that was really when I developed my obsession with Christmas cakes. And I still think Christmas cake is the best thing you can eat.
I asked my brother Ronan if he remembered the birthday cakes my mum used to make.
Birthday cake, yeah, she used to always make a cake on the old birthdays. I suppose everyone always got a cake. We always had a party on the birthday with the cake. And the red lemonade, yeah.
Did you invite your friends to the parties?
No, I don't think we ever invited our friends. I think it was a bit frowned upon, bringing your friends into the house. So there was enough of us anyway, without any friends.
I think she was very dedicated to minding her children in every sense of the word, in terms of cooking for us and trying to make things special on a very small budget. I suppose I only realised that as a mother myself, and when I had my own children, realised what a lot of effort and work she put in to rearing us and making such a good job of it. And not just in baking, but in artwork and making puppets out of paper mache and putting them in the oven, where we made little witches for Halloween. And we would tell people in school that our mother had made that, and they'd be amazed that she had the time to do that, considering all the kind of drudgery work that she had to do.
Girls, boys, having fun. Here comes the lady with the big fat bum.
You do some mixing, Bridgie?
I'm ready to do that.
Whiskey on the top. That's it. Hooray! 4.5 hours. We've got to wait. Children and animals never work. You just can't get staff these days. That's the trouble. That's great. Yes.
Bridgie bit me on the arm.
Oh no, oh Jesus. Bridget, time out.
Molly did hit me.
Yeah, but you hurt her arm. That's not okay. It's a big bite on her arm. Time out, Bridget. There were some stories in our family that lived on. We all piled into the car one day to go to the beach, and there were so many of us that we were halfway there before we realised we had left a brother behind. We all remember it differently. Even the ones who weren't there remember it, because it's been a family story for so long.
Well, we all got into the car and sat 2 or 3 in a seat, an old battered Ford car. And when we were nearly in Mornington, somebody said, "Oh, we haven't got Owen." And we had to turn back and come home. And when we opened the front door, Owen was inside in floods of tears. He had been forgotten.
How many would have been in the car that day?
I'd say there must have been up to 12 anyway.
I asked the same question of all my siblings. Can you remember whether you were in the car that day? How many of us actually were in the car?
Yeah, I think I was. It's hard to tell because it's a story that's repeated so often that I wouldn't be sure whether I actually remember it or whether I've heard it so often that I know every bit of it.
If you only left Owen behind. I'm sure I must have been in the car. Unless I don't remember it. There were lots of things happen to people in cars.
I have many rose-tinted memories of my time growing up. But memory can be a treacherous and haunted landscape, where reality and nostalgia become entwined. Life moves on, and our memories take on a life of their own, growing rosier by the year until they bear no resemblance to the reality of the original lived experience. I thought back to the discussion I had had with my mum about the origin of her secret pudding recipe. And do you have to refer back to your recipe, or would you know in your head?
Well, I know now because I've just read it. I'd have to refresh my memory from time to time.
And where did you get that recipe from now? Is that an old
On
recipe?
the supermarket counter.
That's not an old recipe passed down through the
No,
family?
it's not. Well, there's not much of a difference in what would be passed down.
So there I had it. I thought she had used an old recipe passed down through generations. But instead, it was something she had picked up from a supermarket counter a few weeks back. I was disappointed that it wasn't the unique recipe that I thought it would be. It's time to take it out. Have a look. Stand back. Woohoo! Looks pretty good. How's that look like, Molly?
Looks what?
Touch. I think it looks pretty good. It's good enough to eat, isn't it, Bridgie?
Oh no, I hate cake.
Oh. Ooh.
I opened. Yuck!
We're going to put on 2 kinds of icing, okay? We're going to put on marzipan, and then we're going to put on royal icing. Just keep pushing it. Need. Oh my God. Okay, need. Put a bit of flour on your fingers.
What is this?
It's actually icing sugar.
piece of icing and then the second piece of icing. Oops. Let me do it. See? This is going to be for round the side. No licking until we're finished. We got it? Oh, got it. Look in there. You did it. Oh, it's gone. It's busted. It's busted. Don't, whatever you do, don't. No, Jesus. Just a little taste. Is it nice?
Yeah.
Is it working for you? So just touch it up. Touch it and then lift it up. I'm just going to put a few on. That's it. Just let them fall like that. Hey, you don't take them off the cake.
I'm just taking one.
No, you're not taking.
No,
You're
why?
not eating. Okay, we're finished.
Double.
All right, well done. Well done.
Hey!
No hospitalizations, no arrests, no beatings with the rolling pin. I'd say that is a success.
When you're looking back on it, it's not so much on the baking and how nice cakes were and everything like that. It's kind of more got to do with just kind of the smells around the house. You're coming in from school, there's nice smells around the house. For kids growing up, and especially like in the 50s where people weren't very demonstrative, you know, and whereas nowadays you can kind of, there's all expressions of kind of love and everything between kids and their parents. And in those days there wasn't, you know. There was always a kind of a distance, but you still had to kind of feel secure within the house. There was lots of kind of things, and like bacon was one of them that actually replaced what's there now, but it was part and parcel of like the homestead, you know, growing up, feeling secure, you know, your parents are there for you. So, yeah, it was good.
My mum found it hard to say, I love you. For a woman who was big on love, but not good with the words of love, the cakes said what words couldn't express. A slow, invisible language of love. Can I find a language somewhere between her baking of cakes and my clunky, think-tongued mumble to say what I'm feeling? At Christmas, in Drogheda, we finally sat down to eat the pudding.
Now, where's the whiskey?
Lighting the flame on the pudding was one of the highlights of the Christmas dinner.
No.
After all the blood, sweat and tears of the cake making, this was the big moment. My mum often cried when she finally sat down to say grace at dinner. In the past, I thought this was because she was sad, but I now suspect that these may have been tears of happiness. Her work was done.
Is it worth it?
All the fuss. Oh, indeed it is, yeah.
And was it as you hoped?
Oh, yes.
Marks out of 10. What do you
Oh,
give it?
10.
Huh?
10 out of 10.
And this time, her work was indeed done. For this was the last Christmas cake she would ever make. We returned to Australia in July 2008. And 2 months later, she passed away peacefully, surrounded by her family.
Love is a place I dream of, face that never leaves my mind. Sorrow is over my shoulder, but it's over Someday I will cross the world for you, no matter how far, just to be there. Someday I will hold you in my arms, so special you are. Wait and see, my love, set you free.
In Australia, of course, Christmas falls in the middle of summer. The sun shines down as we eat our Christmas cake outdoors on the deck.
Molly, what do you think of the cake?
This is the best bit of the cake. It's called the icing and the decorations.
What do you think of the cake?
What's he got? Big chest. Big man, push yourself and you me.
Our girls seem happy and confident. They know their own minds and have the freedom and the wisdom to make their own memories.
The thing that I remember most about Ireland is I made a snowman that was called Rachel. I like Australia better than Ireland because my home is in Australia. When Ireland is playing Australia, I go for both because I'm half Irish and half Australian. What I can say in Irish is that I can say, do no doors, which means shut the door, and poke my home, which means kiss my butt.
I thought I could pass on my memories during my cake baking escapade. But my story is starting to fade here, and theirs is just coming alive. This is what I am passing on. Irish or Australian, they've got the best of both worlds.
Sweet Dooligate is the place I do adore, and all young men and maidens that dwelt in it before, and all young men and maidens that now lie far away, they are not in Sweet Dooligate, but they're in America.
My cake baking shone a light on the relationship between me and my mum, between emigrant and home, between me and my family. It filled in the blanks on some unanswered questions, and now I had some answers. Family and community, identity and belonging. They all have a part to play in the big cake mix of life. The secret ingredient is love, the wish that stirs the pudding and keeps the whole warm mess bound together. At least I got that answer right.
Bade the judge good morning, and he told him to beware that he'd never rob a needy man or one who acted square. But a judge who robbed a mother of her one and only joy, well, surely he's a worse outlaw than the wild colonial boy. So come away, me hearties, and we'll roam the mountains high. Together we will plunder, and together we will die. We'll tour through the valleys, and we'll travel over plains. Refuse to live in slavery, never bound by chains. Yeah, we never bound by chains. Don't ever sound my name unless it's crucial. Can I get it through to you? Oh, be Sandra, we far from usual.